Good afternoon, people. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to Football's 12th Man podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Dan Potts, and the Premier League season is back. And last night it kicked off in pure style. One absolutely brilliant way to shut Sky Sports News up. I can't lie, Sky Sports TV have blatantly put Arsenal on a Friday night because of what happened to Brentford last season. I don't care what anybody says. That is facts. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Roy Keane, Micah Richards, all of them. They're all sitting there waiting for Arsenal to lose like they did against Brentford last year. And boy, did we put in a performance, particularly in the first half. I was really impressed, and we're going to break it down and analyze it a little bit. Welcome to all of you. Thank you all for joining me. This is a bit of a last minute stream. And I hope you're all enjoying Liverpool Fulham. It's now starting to get interesting, isn't it? The Premier League season is back. Let's talk a little bit about last night. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. I was up there at Selhurst Park with the boys. Even got ourselves on TV a few times. Thank you for those that added me on Twitter and Instagram and let me know that you saw myself, Lee Judges, Harry Simeon, and Kenny Cairn, and everybody in the ground enjoying ourselves. Listen, it was a performance that I was proud of in the first half because it was one that I was really worried about. What was this Arsenal team going to do? Last season, it did not go great. We all know what happened, but this is a different Arsenal side. The first 11 is a lot stronger than last year. Last year, Thomas Partey had an injury. Kieran Tierney was out. We had Lacazette up front, who really just provided no movement. And we were quite a weak side, particularly at fullback and up top. Our midfield last season was probably not just depleted, but lacked a lot of energy and a lot of movement. Um, let's talk about what we have that was different this season. For me, it was chalk and cheese in certain departments. We're going to go on to individual players, but first of all, overall, I thought the performance was physical. I thought the performance was composed. And I looked at, though there was a couple of errors towards the second half and actually the end of the first half, we didn't really give Crystal Palace too much of a sniff overall, in my opinion. There was a couple of chances I think that they should have scored. I thought Aaron Ramsdale pulled off a couple of great saves. But I do look at it and think it was the first 25 minutes that I looked at this Arsenal side for the first time under Mikel Arteta and thought, okay, I'm happy with this team. And the reason I say that is because in every department, we looked competent. In every department, we looked like we had pretty much a well-drilled first 11. And although I still feel with the window open, we need a few more players, I do feel this first 11 is good enough now to take us forward to the Champions League, which is a realistic aim for Arsenal this season. I'd love to challenge for the title, but I can't see it happening. I think Manchester City and Liverpool are just too strong. But there's no reason and no doubt in my mind that Arsenal can compete with Tottenham, Chelsea, and definitely Manchester United for that third and fourth place. There's no doubt in my mind that that is what we should be going for. When I look at what that team did in the first 25 minutes in particular, it filled me with a lot of encouragement, particularly coming off the back of a very, very good pre-season. And I really was impressed with a few performances in particular. I've not seen a Premier League debut like Gabriel Jesus in the first half an hour like that. It was just impressive to say the least, but I would say more outstanding in everything that he was trying to do. I loved the way that he was bringing players into the game. I loved the fact that he had the encouragement to take people on. I loved the way that he felt he was good enough and probably the star man in the side. And he showed that in the first half an hour, particularly that piece of movement in the first few minutes where he just went round one, then two, and then laid it off. It actually fell in the end to Gabriel Martinelli, who, in my opinion, should have scored. Drags it wide with the left foot. Would have been nice to have seen him bury that with his right because that, for me, is where he's most confident. But he needs to be burying those. In my opinion, he needs to be putting those in. And that's the doubts people have of Gabriel Martinelli is can he get the goals that Saka and Smith Rowe did? Double figures plus more. And that's what I'm going to be asking of Gabriel Martinelli. I thought he looked sharp, Gabriel Martinelli. I thought he looked really tenacious as ever. I thought he was chasing down every ball. And what I really like is the fact that him and Gabriel Jesus seem to have this telepathy together already. You can see it in pre-season and you saw it in parts last night, particularly in the first half. Really impressed. But let's talk about one player that I think is on everyone's lips after last night, William Saliba. For me, this guy in pre-season looked good. Then I started to watch him more closely in pre-season and I thought he was great. And after seeing his performance last night, it really fills me with confidence that we have one hell of a centre-back here. Now, people think I'm harsh on Ben White. I actually quite like Ben White as a footballer. I don't think he's as bad as some people give him a little bit of stick for. But what's missing with Ben White's performance in his debut at Brentford is what Saliba has in his debut against Crystal Palace. This was a big test for William Saliba. This was a physical test. The attributes of all the Crystal Palace players say one thing. I'm managed by Patrick Vieira, and we're going to go in hard and we're going to cause you issues. And Saliba dealt with it. He more than capably handled every single physical presence, all of the attributes that the Crystal Palace players have in the front line. I thought William Saliba dealt with really comfortably, really easily. And I felt like it was a situation going forward now that I have more confidence in him. And every time that ball went towards him, I fancied his chances. I really did. And I think what we're seeing now in the stature of someone at 6'4" at 21 is only going to go one way, and that's up. If this guy can prove some consistency or some form of it at least, I think we have a fantastic centre back. I really do. I like the partnership with Gabriel. I think he looks comfortable on the right side. I think Gabriel is more than comfortable on the left. Both of them have the physical presence and stature of a centre back that I wanted to see. That over the years we've had Mustafi at 5'9", Socrates at 5'10", players like David Luiz, who although had the stature, did not have the other attributes that both Saliba and Gabriel do. I think we've upgraded on that position extremely well. And that's something I've always given credit towards Arteta and Edu for, is their recruitment and their stuff off the pitch, I think has been top. And now what we need to see is stuff on the pitch. I believe William Saliba will be talked about throughout the whole of this season. I don't want to compare him to Van Dijk. I don't want to compare him to Company. I don't want to compare him to Rio Ferdinand, because that, to me, puts more added pressure. You can like people to it. You can say that this player reminds me of, but I don't like to do that, because what I would suggest for him is that he needs to find his own game. Don't try to complement or copy Rio Ferdinand or Vincent Company or even Van Dijk. But trust me, if we've got a player here that can reach those levels, I think all Arsenal fans should be extremely excited. I like his mentality. I like the fact that he knew what he was doing on the pitch. He wasn't afraid to be vocal. He wasn't afraid to tell people alongside him where to go. He wasn't afraid to look ahead of him and see two experienced heads in Partey and Xhaka and tell them what to do. He wasn't afraid to put in a tackle. And that sliding tackle for Zaha was perfect. Zaha's a very talented player. Saliba has to get that right. And boy, did he. I thought he was man of the match by far. It was exceptional talent, great defending, superb ability on the ball. His passing and distribution is second to none for me. And people talk about David Luiz and Ben White talking about long passes. This kid looks so good with the ball at his feet, passing, but more importantly, he can defend. So I was really impressed with what I saw from William Saliba. And I think when Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher complement that position, they mean it, because they understand it. They played it, particularly Jamie Carragher playing right and left. Gary Neville understanding what it's like to be part of an extremely solid back line. When both of them come out, pick them as man of the match and really say they're impressed. And for Gary Neville to even mention Rio Ferdinand in the same line, to me says they think, wow, this kid is special. Now, was it a stroke of genius to keep him out on loan? Was it a madness decision not to bring him back and play Rob Holding ahead of him? I think you can look at it both ways. I don't want to give the manager too much stick, because I've done that enough already, trust me. I do feel with William Saliba in the team last season, we would have had a lot more chance of keeping some of the clean sheets. But it's easy to say that now in hindsight. We need to look at this season and forget about last one. This, for me, is a really good positive move for Arsenal, having William Saliba in that back line, having the ability to have Ben White, Gabriel and William Saliba, and now Rob Holding as the fourth choice, not the second or third choice. That for me just says we've upgraded our centre halves. I'll give Ben White a mention. I thought Ben White and Martin Odegaard were probably two of the weakest players on the night. That's not to say they were shocking, because when people say they're weak, they all of a sudden think, wow, they're shocking. But where I'll give Ben White credit is he was up against probably the best player that Palace have in Zaha. He probably is their best player. And I felt for the most part of the game, he did keep him quiet. I think out of position at times, yes. At one stage, he was over on the left-hand side, causing some drama. Don't really understand how he got himself over there, but he was playing as a left back. And there was a few balls going into the box that he was just not aware of. So yeah, there were some weak links, and I understand why I think people give him a 5 or a 6 out of 10, and Erdegaard likewise, who we'll come on to in a minute. But I don't want to start slating Ben White, who's a 24-year-old player who's now playing at right back to cover for Tomiyasu, who's up against one of the best players in the league in that position, in my opinion, in Wilfred Zaha, that over the years has caused so many fullbacks many issues. And I think, to be fair to him, looking back at it, on the night, I was a bit like, meh. But looking back, maybe he wasn't so bad. Maybe Ben White wasn't as bad as what some people are making out. But one player that did frustrate me last night, I can't lie, was Martin Erdegaard. Now, I like Martin Erdegaard. A lot of people think that I slate him and I demand the best from him. I demand the best from all players. I need to see more goals and I need to see more assists. He got 7 goals last season and 4 assists. For me, a player of Martin Erdegaard's quality and someone that was hyped to coming from this wonder kid style from Real Madrid, he needs to be looking at doubling that this season. And straight away, I have concerns. There was a potential goal scoring opportunity in the second half where he refused to shoot because he has a right-footed opportunity to slot that home, one-on-one with the keeper. Go and look at the clip. There's a photo shot of it. He is one-on-one. He tries to cut back in on his left foot. I don't know why. Nobody can tell me why, but he does. Now, that to me shows that there's still a lack of confidence in front of goal for Martin Odegaard. Why? I don't know. He's now the leader. He's now the captain. He should be setting the example to say, if you get into these opportunities, guys, don't fluff your lines. Don't fluff your lines, and more importantly, bury it. Because when you get to a stage of one-on-one in that opportunity against any Premier League opposition, bury it. Do not fluff your lines. He cuts back on his left. We see Pepe do it many, many times. Everyone crucifies it for him. So I'm going to crucify Martin Odegaard for it too, because that is inexcusable. You need to be shooting in that opportunity. Only a striker's dream is to go one-on-one with the goalkeeper. When your defender is here or here, and you're trying to cut in around them, when you're already past them, pretty much, smash it, yeah? Hit it, deliver, drive it. Make sure it hits the back of that net, because for me, that could have been a real letdown in another game. That you go through with a chance and everyone's talking about the missed chance, not the goals. Now, we're lucky that we won 2-0. We're lucky that Ramsdale had a good save. But when it comes to it, if Palace would have put those 2 in, that Martin Odegaard chance everyone talks about as saying, why did he not shoot? And that's what I don't want people to be talking about in the following games. So I need to see Martin Odegaard start delivering. I need to see Martin Odegaard have the confidence to take on a player. I'm not interested in his silky play anymore if it's not going to get us a goal. I love the fact that he's technically gifted. I love the fact that he links up play well. I love the fact that he's got great vision. I love the fact that his work great and everything about his mentality looks good. But I do not like the fact that he does not want to play that ball through or to hit that and take that chance. He would much rather make things look silky and good. And that frustrates me. So I played with players on Sunday League that did the same thing and everyone crucified them. It's no different in professional game. People that go through one-on-one, if you're a footballer, you need to be banging and scoring, or at least taking that chance. That's the way I see it. Very frustrating from him in parts of the game, but I will say that he did try, and his work rate can never be faulted. He does give it 110%. Thomas Partey, first half, outstanding. Outstanding. No matter what's going on outside of football, outstanding. Thought brilliant, really played well in the first half. Was always there in that anchor, always sweeping up, delivering, passing it, giving it to the right people wide, spraying that ball nicely. Physical presence, all the attributes you need for a defensive midfielder. Granit Xhaka, bit confused in parts of the game, can't lie, about where he was supposed to be playing. At one stage, I saw him in the number 10 role, playing a Dennis Bergkamp role. But one thing I will say about Granit Xhaka, for all the people out there who know I do not rate the guy and I don't like him moving forward, I think that next to Thomas Partey and with Erdegaard in the middle, I think our midfield is good. It can be better. It needs to be upgraded, of course. But him next to Partey, I don't mind it. It looks okay. There's nothing in there that I will say about Granit Xhaka performance last night that I was upset about, other than one thing. And you all know what I'm going to say. Yes, it was a yellow card. I've looked at it back. I wasn't sure at Selhurst Park last night. It looked like it live for me. I said, yellow card. Everyone was moaning and throwing their arms around. I said, he's dived. And he has dived. Simulation, ridiculous. Don't understand what he's doing there. He's tried to con the referee, but you can just tell you're not a centre forward. You're not a Luis Suarez. You're not a Raheem Sterling. You're not a Mo Salah. You've not got any of those attributes. So you're going to go down like a donkey, and that's exactly what he did. And he made himself look stupid. For me, it was a blatant yellow card. Blatant yellow card. So I look at it and think to myself, why is it that we are in the situation still of Granit Xhaka picking up yellow cards for his disciplinary record? It frustrates the hell out of me. I cannot lie. It frustrates me. Yeah, it really does. But I look at it and I think he played okay. He played okay. And yet again, we're talking about Granit Xhaka getting a yellow card. So that needs to stop this season. Whether it will, I have my doubts because I think the guy's never going to change. But I'll give him his due. I thought he played quite well last night. Gabriel Jesus started to come out under the game. I wasn't too sure second. Still movement was there, the intensity was there, the energy was there, but didn't really get into an opportunity to score. Martinelli did, we've mentioned. Saka come into his own and, of course, got the second goal. Him and Martinelli, I think they're two of the future. They're two of the bright sparks. We have to look at that and say fair play to them both. They put in a shift. And I was really happy. I'm really pleased. But one thing that worries me, Zinchenko and Ben White at the moment are our backup fullbacks, and I think we're quite all right at the moment. I like Zinchenko. I really like the energy. I like the leadership qualities. I love the fact when we're warming up, he was geeing up the crowd. He seems happy to be here. He seems to have bought into what we're doing, and he can play in a versatile few positions. Kieran Tierney come on, made some subs. In my opinion, way too late by the manager. To wait to 81 minutes to change anything, I was a bit surprised, if I'm honest. I can't lie. Bit surprised. So I think that has to change. But then I asked myself, who has he got to bring on? From the bench, who did he have there to change the game? And Kieran Tierney came on. I thought that was good. Eddie Nketiah come on to show his energy and his intensity that he does. But we still are short. We're short of a couple of midfielders, in my opinion, and we're short of another forward. Now, if you're going to utilise Pepe, that's fine. If you're not, we need to replace him. If you're going to keep Lokonga and El Neni, that's fine, but we need an upgrade. If you're going to keep Granit Xhaka in your first 11, you need an upgrade. For me, there's a few positions there, particularly in midfield and certainly up top, that we are still short. Now, I know Smith Rowe's to come back. So's Fabio Vieira. So's Tomiyasu. That will definitely allow us to bring a few players on. But I still feel we're short. And that's what I want to see now from Mikel Arteta and Edu. I want to see in the next few weeks, I want to see Tielemans come through the door. I want to look at the links to Paqueta and see if there's anything in it. I want to look at a defensive midfielder coming in that's going to be a destroyer if Thomas Partey isn't there. And I want to look at another forward, whether it's Cody Gakpo or a target man up top. I want to see something coming in the door to show us that we're serious about competing. Because we're not going to challenge with City or Liverpool, but boy, can we challenge with Tottenham and Chelsea for that third place, in my opinion. We can. I looked at everything around the place last night. The fans were incredible. Singing Vieira's name at the end, it was fascinating to see. But I need to see more. I really, really do need to see more. So it's going to be interesting for me now to see what we can get moving forward. I'm going to let you all go and enjoy this game. First half hour, don't know what the score is. But I thought I'd give my thoughts on the game last night. I was going to do this stream last night, but I just didn't have time. I got in way too late. But I think things have looked positive. I think things have looked fantastic moving forward. And I just love the fact that Sky Sports News can't be talking about Arsenal last night as being the ones to laugh at. We put them on TV because we knew they were going to lose to Crystal Palace. We put them on TV so everyone could laugh at them. That didn't happen. Yeah, that did not happen for the pure reason that we had the ability last night in that first 11 to go toe-to-toe with them. And Patrick Vieira, fair play to you, mate. I think you're going to do a great job, and I hope that you do. Last night, you changed the tactics in the second half, and it made it very difficult for us. It was like a completely different team for the majority of that second half because they made it very difficult for us. Patrick Vieira is no mug. He's brought in monsters. Their transfer window and their team now at Crystal Palace looks different. Looking at Anderson and Guehi at the back, with Decore who's come in, with Jeffrey Schlopp, with players like Zaha, Mateta, Edouard, Elise. None of those are weak players. None of those are lightweight. So Patrick Vieira is basically putting an outfit together that he believes replicates what everything was about his game, which was physical, strong attributes. Go in hard, be strong. And I felt we dealt with that last night. And I do believe this Arsenal setup has got the Gabriels, the Salibas, the Ben Whites, the Xhakas, the Parties that will be able to deal with that now. And I just feel that perhaps we need a target man, a forward, and a couple of centre midfielders to actually give us the strength and depth needed to allow us to compete in all 4 competitions, because that's what ultimately we all want. Guys, I'm out of here. Smash the like button if you can. Come and follow me on socials if you're not doing so already, at DanArsenal87. And then come and follow at FTM podcast _ Football's 12th Man podcast. Subscribe to the video if you can already. I love the support. I'm nearly at 4K, heading towards 4K already. That's unbelievable. Thank you so, so much. And thank you all for watching and listening. Until then, we'll see you next time. And up the Arsenal.